So after I've covered the RTX 3070 mobile and the benchmarks for that GPU at the end of last year, a lot of you guys were left wondering about the performance of the RTX 3080 mobile and how that might look like, especially given that the RTX 3070 mobile has managed to score really nicely in the Geekbench benchmark and scored similarly to the RTX 2080 and 2080 Super, slotting perfectly between those desktop GPUs. And of course, a lot of you were very excited to hear about the RTX 3080 mobile, and this is exactly what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But do note that I have an entire playlist, if you're a new viewer by the way, where I'm covering the entire RTX 3000 mobile lineup, and I guess the entire next generation of laptops, including the, Ryzen 5000 mobile chips, Intel's Tiger-Lake, RX 6000M. So if you'd like to get more information about these products and make an informed purchase decision about the next generation of laptops, which are going to be showcased at CES 2021, then I guess you could go and watch those videos after you're done with this one. And also do note that I have timestamps for all of my videos, so if you're here only for the benchmarks for the RTX 3080 mobile, I guess you could just go and watch that part. But for anyone who is still watching me talk about the RTX 3080 mobile, I would like to tell you that I'm not sure if these results come from a Max-Q or a Max-P variant. Now, I've already covered the Max-Q and Max-P variants in other videos where I explained you how that works, but I'll do it again just so you know. The Max-Q variant is an official nomenclature coming from NVIDIA, and this of course defines the graphics cards which don't take a lot of watts, it doesn't require all that juice to run them. They are limited at 70 to 90 watts in the case of the RTX 3000 mobile lineup. I believe that was the case for the 2000 lineup as well. Now, of course, these graphics cards, given that they don't require a lot of watts and a lot of power, they also don't put out as much heat, and it makes it also possible to put them in other thin and light laptops, and you don't need to carry a, 4 or 5 kilo laptop or whatever, This is reserved to the Max-P variant of cards, or because this is not an official nomenclature, you could just call them the normal RTX 3080 mobile. Now, these graphics cards are going to be configured with anywhere between 110 and 150 watts for the RTX 3000 lineup. I can't remember exactly how that went for the RTX 2000 lineup, but I guess it's besides the point. These graphics cards are of course going to be put in beefier laptops with, hopefully, because that's not always the case, with beefier cooling systems, and you're going to get better performance out of these GPUs. Now, it's important to note whenever to know if this is the Max-Q or the Max-P variant whenever you're looking at benchmarks, because this can give you an idea of how good your laptop could have been if you had either one of these GPUs, one of these variants. Now, it's also good to note that the RTX 3080 is based on the same GA104 chip as the RTX 3070 that I have in my system over there, so it's not the GA102 chip that we've seen on the desktop RTX 3080, and that's also important. Perhaps another thing that it's good to know is that it has 6,144 CUDA cores as compared to, I don't remember exactly what it was for the RTX 3080, but I can tell you that for the RTX 3070 it has 5,888 CUDA cores, and it also has, I'm talking about the RTX 3080 mobile, it comes with 16 gigabytes of VRAM as compared to only 8 on the desktop RTX 3070, so that makes it a little bit more similar to the RTX 2080 Ti, and you're going to see why I mentioned that as well. Now, of course, you get different, you require different power to run a desktop RTX 3070, but you're going to see that it's important. Now, let's just get into those benchmarks, and you're going to understand why I also had to take my time to explain those things once again if you're a new viewer. Now, looking at the benchmarks for the RTX 3080 mobile, this one has managed to score over 140,000 points in Geekbench. Now, this would put it perfectly in line with the RTX 3070, and why I said that the 2080 Ti is important in this equation, well, or I guess you could call it like that. It's important because the 2080 Ti had 11 gigabytes of VRAM, whereas the 3070 only has 8 gigabytes of VRAM, so all that extra VRAM that you're getting, all this extra performance is of course going to allow you to run games at higher resolutions with higher texture fidelity, and it's going to be important, of course, if you are going to want to play the latest AAA titles in the upcoming 2 or 3 years, because they are obviously going to become a lot more demanding. So this was everything about the benchmarks that kind of is important to you. Now I'm going to mention why I don't know this is the Max Q or the Max P variant, because these are articles from Video Cards and WCCF Tech that I'm basing this information on, and in the case of WCCF Tech, they said that this should be the Max P variant, and they're very confident in that, and Video Cards says that this should be the Max Q variant given the 1.45 gigahertz boost clock that we've seen on this RTX 3080 mobile. Now, I'm kind of inclined to think that this is also just the Max Q variant, mainly because the Asus Zephyrus 15 Duo that this graphics card or this benchmark is based on also had the 2080 Super Max Q last year. Albeit, I've also seen it with a Max P variant, so I'm not really sure, but I'm still inclined to think that this is the Max Q variant. Now, of course, if this is going to be the Max Q variant, this is definitely really good, because it means a Max P variant is going to offer you a lot more performance, assuming you get very good cooling on that, but you could also just undervolt the CPU and the GPU to get extra bit of performance, and a lot of other things that I've been talking about in my videos. So it's definitely a little bit weird to still make videos when, you know, you have other ones explaining all of those things. But if you're a new viewer, then I guess you're being thankful for this at the moment. Now, it's also worth noting that the Asus Zephyrus Duo 15 SE Ultra 5G Max Edition, because I just love however they name these laptops, it's really weird, and it's the same as what it happens on the smartphones nowadays. Either way, this laptop is going to also have 2 screens, and if I remember correctly, the panel quality is really good, but it also is a 4K monitor, so if you are going to want to run the latest AAA titles for, you know, 2 or 3 years, I don't think you're necessarily going to be able to do it quite as smoothly as at 4K, but of course you can tune it down to 1440p or 1080p. The visual quality won't be the same, but hey, you're going to be able to run those games. Now, of course, this is also going to be really good because you're getting a RYZEN 5900H, and I've already covered this CPU and the benchmarks for that in another video, which you can check out on the channel. And it's also good to know that it's coming with 48 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 megahertz, so you're not going to run out of memory if you're going to be using something like Adobe After Effects, Premiere, or I don't know, DaVinci Resolve as I'm using. So be happy for that as well, but don't get too excited because this laptop, I don't think it's necessarily going to be all that cheap, especially given that the previous models of the Asus Zephyrus 15, whatever, this Asus model last year costed about 4,500 euros, and that's a lot of money, but I don't think that this year is necessarily going to be all that expensive. Maybe we're going to see it at 4,000 euros or 3,500 by some divine intervention from the PCMR gods. I guess so. Don't really get your hopes up for this one to be necessarily all that cheap. However, cheap, I don't know why I always say cheap. This has happened last year when I did the RTX 3070 mobile video as well. Now, of course, you can also have a look at some other laptops that I covered on this channel. I also have a video on the Acer Nitro 5. That one should also come with an RTX 3080, and yeah, you're not going to get the best quality screen and the best performance out of that GPU, but hey, if you are just looking for a cheap laptop which has an RTX 3070 or 3080, I guess you could be looking at that one, or some gigabyte models, and I think I mentioned some other laptops that are going to be showcased at CES 2021, so definitely check out those videos as well. And I would like to thank you for watching this video, especially if you got it to the end, and if you did manage to get to the end of this video, I would like to see a comment from you guys down below telling me if you are interested in buying this laptop, and if so, what do you think of its performance? Do you think mainly that this is Max Q or Max P? What do you think of the possible pricing? Would you get one of those? And I don't know, if you have any other thoughts, just leave them in the comments down below. And by the way, you could also join us on crrowd.com and our Discord server, where we happen to talk about all of these things more recently, now that some of you have already joined. So thanks a lot for that, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye.